Good morning. It's Wisdom Wednesdays. I am Ariana Newcomer, Dove Oracle Priestess, and coming to you from Central California. It's morning here, so good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Happy midday to those of you on the East Coast, and good evening to those of you in Europe. Today, I want to talk about healing the collective and why it's important for us to continue to do our own work and to be in circle with others of like mind. These have been really rough times for us here in the United States with the fight over the Supreme Court nomination and with the increasing vitriol that is being put out into the political sphere, as we have also a very important election coming up. So the energies are very, very intense. And so how do we deal with it? How do we keep our sense of hope? How do we keep our belief that things are actually moving forward and turning? We're creating the great turning, the great shift is happening, that the elevation of human consciousness is happening. Breathe. First of all, we breathe. We ground. We feel our connection with Mother Earth. We take some time in nature. It's always a good time when the energies are like this to get out in the trees, because the trees have such a different timeline than we do. They are so much longer lived than we are. And we can tune into that sense of slowing down and taking a longer and higher perspective. And another thing that's really important for us to do is to be in circle. I went to a women's circle last night, and it was really, really nourishing. And I participated in an event last Saturday over the phone with David Nickel, and he has written a book called Subtle Activism, and I took a course with him. And subtle activism is a beautiful, beautiful practice that we can do when we are in circle together to combine our energy consciously to create a group energy field that is really clear and send our energy out to help create healing in the collective, to help create positive change in the collective. So I invite us, those of you who are watching this, and anyone who is with me live, anyone who's watching the recording, I invite us to join ourselves in this group energy field and do this practice of sending out our really clear and intentional energy to help create this positive change in the collective. And this is a practice that we do in every class of the Wise Woman Immersion, and it becomes deeper and richer as we go along in that 7-month program. It becomes something that really, really helps to bind the women together in the circle. And so I really invite you to consider joining that program. You can still join the Wise Woman Immersion. Enrollment will be closing soon. So I will put a link in the comments so that you can book a time to talk with me about that program. So let's breathe. Let's breathe. And as we do this short practice, I invite you to close your eyes, connect first with breath, deepen, consciously deepen and slow your breathing, as this automatically begins to calm us down, shift us out of our fight or flight nervous system into our calming nervous system. Our breath is something that will run by itself automatically, but we can also consciously control it. So I invite you to do that consciously. Slow and deepen your breath, soften your belly, and feel your diaphragm moving down into the belly. And now, seeing ourselves, all of us who are participating in this at any time, since this happens in the subtle realms, in the imaginal realms, anyone who is ever watching this is participating with us. all together. So we begin to see ourselves creating a group energy field. And we are going to only send the highest and deepest and best of ourselves into that group energy field. We're going to allow to remain within our physical selves with love and appreciation any of our unintegrated parts, shadow parts, any part of us that might be angry or sad or distraught. Any of those parts of self or those kinds of emotions can stay with love within our physical selves. And we send our essence, as it were, our divine self, into the group energy field. And we invite all of our allies from the nature realms to be with us, all of our allies from the subtle realms and the starry realms, guardians of the land where each of us is physically. And we create a grounded connection to Mother Earth with her permission, sending a grounding chunk all the way down to the very core of Earth, and seeing that Earth energy rising up to become part of our group energy field. And we connect ourselves with the center of all creation out in the universe, and we see that energy coming now into our group energy field. And also, we are going to remain sovereign as individuals as we do this practice. We're not giving ourselves away. We are not becoming something else. And we are not going to take in anything that's not for our highest good in doing this practice. So we also are now going to create a beautiful white membrane, like a cell membrane, around our group energy field. And that will serve as a filter so that nothing that is not for the highest good can go out, and nothing that is not for the highest good can come in. So we are all protected in doing this practice energetically and psychically, and we will only be sending out what is for the highest good. And we recognize and acknowledge that we may not know what is for the highest good. And now we begin to consciously create a group heart. So within ourselves, feeling our hearts beginning to expand, feeling the love that comes from our earth connection and our cosmic divine mother connection, that love which is the essence of creation. And we allow that to really expand our hearts. And we see then our heart energy going into the center of our group energy field and creating a group heart with this highest and deepest and best of each of us. And we create that group heart, and we see it. You might see it in your mind's eye, in your imagination, taking a shape or a form, or maybe not. It may just be an energy. Whatever it is for you, whatever it seems like to you, is what it is for you. It's perfectly appropriate. And continue to consciously breathe slowly and deeply. And we are now going to connect our group heart with the collective. We do have a collective consciousness. We are actually all interconnected in this web of consciousness, and not just humans to humans, but to the web of life on the planet. There is a collective consciousness. Carl Jung called it the collective unconscious. And of course, it's unconscious when we're not aware of it. And this is something that we become more and more aware of as we are on a spiritual path, on a wisdom path, is that collective and our part as a part of the whole, that we are individuals and we are also part of this greater whole. So we're now consciously connecting in to that collective web, and we're going to send our love and heart energy out into the collective web. And let's imagine it as a web of light. Let's contribute our love this love from our group energy field into the web of light that is the collective consciousness on the planet. And see that web of light being infused with love. And you might see it as a golden web. You might see it as another jewel tone color. It's not going to be black or brown or gray. It's going to be some kind of beautiful, bright color. And see our group energy of love infusing this web of the collective with love, so that we are increasing the amount of love that is available all over the world. And love is the greatest energy. It is perhaps our greatest superpower. And it is the energy that probably has the most possibility to create this great turning, this great shift that we are looking towards. And now notice, I invite you to notice how many nodes of consciousness there are connected to this web of light. And I invite you to realize that we are not so alone. We can feel very alone as spiritual people doing this work to help bring the kind of change we need. We are not alone. When we listen to our media, we can just feel that everything's falling apart and that things are just getting worse. And this is one of my favorite ways to reconnect in to the positive and to connect with others who are doing this work in these subtle realms, in the spiritual realm. So take that to heart. And now, as we are sending our group energy of love into the collective, breathing that in, feeling this grounded sense, feeling ourselves connected to each other in this particular group and connected to the greater whole, the greater collective. Now we are going to receive back this energy of love. And this is one of the beautiful alchemies of the practice of subtle activism, is that we receive back some of the highest and deepest and best of each of us. We receive back more love than we sent out. So now, as we begin to bring our consciousness back into our particular group energy field, understand that the love we are bringing back is greater than what we sent out. And then as we bring our awareness gradually back to our individual selves, remember we are bringing back some of the highest and deepest and best of each of us. We are receiving healing, we are receiving love, we are receiving this elevation in our being as we come back from having done this practice. And another deep breath. And coming back fully into self, remembering that we have been protected throughout this process by the membrane that we set and by the intention that we set, so that we have only brought back what it is for our highest good, and we have only given out what is for the highest good of the collective. So breathing into that. So I encourage you all to sit in circle with others of like mind. And now with the technology we have, like Zoom, which is a great video conferencing tool that I use in the Wise Women Immersion with my private client sessions, we can see each other. And it contributes to our being able to create this connection with each other. And I invite you to, if you wish, look up David Nicol, Nicol, and his book, Subtle Activism, if you'd like to learn more about that. Or, as I said, you're welcome to talk with me about joining the Wise Women Immersion, where we do this practice during every class. So, blessings, sending love to all of you. Thank you to all of you who have watched and participated in this practice. It's always really helpful and grounding to me to do this practice. It really helps me get centered and helps me restore my connection to the greater whole and get myself out of that place of anxiety. So, see you next week.